Liftoff.
Oh, I was like, wait, what?
Oh my god, dude!
But that makes sense. That makes sense with the movie tonight. So, we will be talking about parts 1 and 2
Oh, you
tonight.
did it.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I did both. So, if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, it might be kind of spoil. If you've read the comic, though, I don't really know how it's a spoiler, but
there are some differences.
is there?
Yeah.
I was trying to watch. I was trying to remember what was different. Is the ending different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, maybe that. Okay, maybe that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's spoilers. There's gonna be spoilers tonight then. So, this was Jared's pick.
Sure
Parts
was.
1 and 2. A little 3-hour marathon. That wasn't that bad.
Par for the course.
All that
Mr. Apes
cartoons.
trilogy over here.
The first one made it seem like it was longer. The second one seemed like it went by fast.
Yeah,
It
that was a
definitely
good point.
breathed for a cartoon. You know, they gave it a lot of breathing room.
All right. Yeah, I'll let you kick it off, Jared. We'll get your initial thoughts on it.
Okay, my initial thoughts were obviously the comic. I was telling the guys beforehand that when it came out was one of the few times I actually wasn't buying comics because I just got married and I was poor, but I would go to the local Hastings and just sit and catch up on the trades. And I knew right away that it was like an instant classic. First of all, I love Two-Face. Like, he's probably my favorite Batman villain.
Oh.
And to see a proper, like, his actual origin done with the acid in the face and all that at the trial. It's always in the movies an explosion of some sort, even in an animated series.
Not in Batman Forever.
Oh, that's true. There's a flashback.
Totally nailed him
right,
with the
isn't
acid,
there?
man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
But yeah,
forgot there's a
you're right, though.
flashback.
Everything else is not it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I obviously had, high expectations going in. And there were, like I said, a lot of changes. And I wasn't really sure at first how to process it, like, because, it's kind of almost like sacrilege to change something that's such a classic story. But they've been doing that. They did that with Hush, too. They changed the villain at the end. And
You did it with
I think they
Watchmen.
kind of do it they did it with Gotham by Gaslight, too. I think they kind of do it for people who know the comics so they can also be kind of surprised, which is cool. So I did a deep dive. I read the comic again. I read the sequel, Dark Victory. I read the side story, When in Rome. And then I watched the movie like 3 times and just really processed it through the weeks. And so I know where I'm
this
at.
movie 3 times?
I watched the first part 3 times. I watched the second part twice.
All right.
Wow. Dedication.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me, obviously.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we'll get into likes and dislikes on how I felt about the changes.
Okay. All right.
Should I put my Batman mask?
No, don't put on the Batman.
Catwoman mask.
Don't tempt me. I'll get my Batman mask.
All right, Raw.
Initial thoughts. I did read the book. I wish I would have read the book after I saw the movie, though. So I guess reading the book is like it took away some of the mystery, and I should just read it after. But my initial thoughts was it was pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. And there were some things in there that I will address and that irritates me. But it was pretty good. That's my initial thoughts. I'm not going to dive into anything else.
Do you think that you said you wish you would have read the comic afterwards, but do you think that the movie would have inspired you to read the comic? Would have you done it, seen the movie?
It's kind of hard to say that because like once you implant something in your mind, like you read something, you get the idea of what's this going to be about, and then you watch the animated version of it, and it kind of takes away some of the spark. In my
You're
opinion,
definitely predisposed.
yeah. So I wish I would have just watched it first and then went back and read it and I would have got more out of the book than I did in this film. And I did like some of the changes though. So, but just like I said, overall it was a good film.
This is as in plural.
Films. I'll put them in one. I mean, like it's one
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
My first impressions were it struck me as extremely mature for an animated film looking, the art style and like the way it carried itself, right? Coming right off of like the animated series, you could already see this like huge leap. Not that I should really compare the two, but I was struck with the maturity of it. And I have not read the comic, so I was taking this in as a standalone thing, right? So I weirdly kept waiting for them to change characters because that seems to be what everyone does to every comic book character ever in film now. Nobody has any sanctity when it comes to the source material, so I just kind of abandoned any hope for the characters being who they're supposed to be. And the opposite was true, and that blew my mind. Like, the Joker looked like the toy from the 90s. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, that is the Joker. Thank you. Like, every time a villain showed up, I was like, oh, wow, that's actually the Mad Hatter. Wow, thank you. You're not ashamed of what these characters look like. You're actually embracing them and making it mature. And in a way, like that's all I want from every comic movie. I just want a movie version of the comic. Is that weird? Like, I feel like that's, at this point, that's like odd, right? It's like everyone has to super realize something, like, I don't know. But I liked it. It was a super breath of fresh air. And again, like, it sucks being a Marvel fan and seeing DC get this stuff, get like this version of like something. I want Marvel films to take themselves seriously because the comics do, and they don't exist. They don't exist. They don't. Like, people like, films like, Thor Ragnarok are celebrated when they're flying in the face of the source material on purpose to make money. It couldn't be more egregious, right? And so it's like, except for, Daredevil, but Daredevil isn't under the MCU, right? And they actually dignified that. So
Black Panther.
Sure.
Black Panther was pretty serious. That's true. Yeah, that movie took itself seriously. But it's just such an anomaly. So I was surprised that it did. I was surprised it took itself seriously while simultaneously, being true to the character design. Loved that. So, and I'm trying to think of something else that really, obviously the soundtrack is from outer space. Like, I can't even believe I've never heard anything like that in a cartoon ever in my life. Ever. So that really stood out to me as like one of my first impressions. The soundtrack was its own character, honestly, like in a weird way. But I think I'll leave it at that before we get into like likes and dislikes. But those are like my first impressions of like this thing. So what you got, Dave?
So initial thoughts. I'm kind of curious to hear what the inaccuracies of it, like, or not inaccuracy, I guess, like what they changed about it, because I thought I remembered the comic pretty well, but apparently I didn't. Because I thought everything they did was pretty spot on. But I'm curious to see what they changed about it. But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was good. I didn't have a lot of issues with it, but I don't know. I guess I think the issues I did have with it were kind of big ones. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. I don't know if it has to do with like, because I've been taking drugs all day. Maybe I just like, I wasn't like, it was hard for me to focus on it. Like, it was so hard for me to like focus on it. Like, I had to really like tell myself to like look at it,
David literally was watching at 7:55.
Yeah, I finished at like 7:52 or something like that. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I mean, overall,
long, right?
Right, yeah. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's bad. All right, Jared.
Okay, so likes. The intro, I loved the intro so much. I mean, that very first shot of the calendar reminded me so much of Batman, the animated series. I mean, it was obviously
WB and
Well, I mean, but they had the calendar pieces. It looked like one of the title cards.
Yeah.
You know, it was obviously homage to that. And then the line that you're not knowing what it's drawing, and then all of a sudden you zoom out and it's a bat symbol, which was just like Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie, where you're going through the credits of this thing. You're like, why is it a cave? And then all of a sudden and the music was so cool in the intro, and the fact that
unreal.
The fact that they acknowledged, because they couldn't draw. I mean, can you imagine how much it would have cost to like draw in the style of Tim Sale an entire movie? But they still showed clips from the comic, like to honor that, you know, little,
like panels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really cool. I like the voice acting. This is probably my favorite Catwoman that I've seen, and it's really sad because the actress Naya Rivera.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was her.
Okay.
Yeah, she died. She died after filming this. She was like saving her kid from drowning.
Yeah,
drowned herself.
Right. That's a crazy story.
So, yeah, the ghost of that was kind of hanging over the whole thing when I was listening and just saying, man, she was really nailing it.
She killed her role. I think that by far that was the best Catwoman voice actor.
I think so too. I mean, I love animated series, but for some reason this just hit the mark for me. And the guy who did Falcone was great, and the girl who did Sophia was great. Mm-hmm. I had some dislikes on the voices that we'll get into. The big one.
Oh boy!
Of course, if it's not Kevin Conroy, then
it's dead to you. Oh boy!
It's not dead to me, but it's just like, it's. Well, the funny thing is the guy who voiced him actually voiced Red Hood in Under the Red Hood. So I'm hearing Jason Todd in my brain with a little bit like more deeper voice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Okay, so the changes, I wrote these down. One of the changes that was really cool was the fact that they used the Triad as the gang that was hired to take out Harvey, rather than in the book it was like an Irish mob. And so that led to this really kick-ass fight in the street that probably wouldn't have happened if it was a bunch of Irish dudes.
That was a dope fight. When Batman started getting bodied, I was like, okay. I was like, I like this. That
was one of the best scenes right there.
Yeah, and that wasn't in the book. One thing that was really cool was the part where Scarecrow gassed Batman and he was seeing his parents, and that was actually from another Halloween special from Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, like the first one they did. Mm-hmm. So they interjected that into there. And they did say, I read somewhere that they took pieces of that to kind of flesh stuff out. So that was cool. And that scene was really cool too.
A little bit ahead of nostalgia.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the big change is that in the book, it was Alberto was actually the killer. He faked his death. He faked his death on the yacht. He came clean and admitted to it and went to jail for it. And then at the end, you see Gilda was also a part of it. She just kind of...
Oh, because they were married.
Well, they weren't married in the book.
They were. It was annulled, but they were at one point.
Well, in the book, they weren't, though. Like, I don't think there was a connection between... So, motive. The reason Gilda killed them, like she was part of it for some reason. It was really just kind of like a stinger at the end, but when you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. She killed them because this whole thing was taking Harvey away from her. Like, and so she was helping him out by killing mobsters that were pulling him to his job.
That was what I thought was happening the whole time in this movie. So that actually makes you saying that out loud makes way more sense than what happened as the big reveal at the end to me. I felt that. I was like, oh, he just keeps leaving. That's all the movie's showing you. And her being like, okay. You know what I mean? And like, he's not just leaving, but he's leaving and putting himself in danger. So she's like, well, I'm removing the stuff that endangers him and takes him away from me. There, done. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking when I was watching it.
Interesting.
But then the big reveal was
they didn't really, you don't know the whole story till the very, very end when she explains it. Like,
right. And it was super emotional. It was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Well, I did like that because it made it more of a like revenge thing, like almost like Kill Bill, like
right.
You know, this horrible things happened to her. It was why she was so messed up. And it was more revenge than just like I need my husband. Like that almost was kind of demoralizing to women when you say it out loud to me. Like, you only kill people because you want your husband to pay attention to you.
Sure.
But it was.
So, question for you, Jared. Kind of on the same lines with Tony. So, is the animated ending better than the book ending to you?
I think it makes more sense.
So is that a yes or no?
Yeah. In the book, it was tacked on, and there was no connection between her and Alberto.
The new one.
Yeah, I think it made more sense. The motive made more sense, and that's kind of one of the things I had to like figure out. Like, and also in the end, only the readers see that she was part of it, because that was the thing too. It's kind of ambiguous. Like, okay, so how many did she commit? How many did Alberto commit? How did they like link up and both decide to start killing people on holidays? Why did one miss one, the other miss the other? It was kind of didn't make sense. But the fact that they had a history and a common, thread there, I don't know. It just it felt to me like somebody took 20 years and stewed on this and said, you know what, this would have made a little bit more sense in 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, most of the changes I liked. I think it was good. I think that's my likes. I feel like there might have been one more. I'm looking at my notes, but if there was, I didn't write it down. Yeah, so there were like 2 holiday killers, and in this one, there's only one. I like that. Like it was just weird.
It was one,
the
and
fact that she kills Gilberto too is super spicy.
Yeah,
that's like flamethrower spicy. That she's like, because he didn't stand up for her when it mattered,
and that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
You're getting popped too, buddy. Like that's just like like in that really. I was like, wait, she killed Gilberto. And I was like, oh, of course she did. It took me a second, and I'm like, oh man, well she meant it at that point. That's when she's committed. She almost killed him. Like he's really early. He's one of the first ones. He's like the second, third one. That's just like, dang, that tears you up.
I remember the other ending. I was halfway through this and I lost my thought. Only the viewer knows that she was part of it. Two-Face, you never show him figuring it out. Batman's not there confronting her.
Right.
She's just burning the stuff at the end and explaining why she did it to herself in word bubbles and exposition.
Right. So, okay. All right. Ra, likes.
Whoo! I'm scaring Jared right now.
I don't care.
This was well written. Make it make sense. I mean, this man, like, good job all the way through and through. Easy to follow. I did pick up on who the killer was, early on, but it got to a point to where he was kind of uncertain. But it was like, okay, it's definitely her, But before I get to all that, I'm gonna point out one scene that I thought was the best scene in the entire two films, was when Catwoman finally kissed Batman on the rooftop, and then you see a explosion in the background, and you have a soft boom. That visual right there, I said, "Oh, that was so freaking dope."
I think I made a noise out loud in my apartment. I was like, "Oh,
yeah." It was good. I played that back a couple times. I was like, "Okay, that was freaking dope. That was freaking dope." So that's one of my favorite parts out of that whole film. And I like the fact that she was his backbone, whether he liked it or not. Hold me down. I need a ride or die chick. That was my ride or die chick right there was Catwoman, man. Yeah. Saved his butt through and through. Woo, man.
She was much more present in this than she was in the comic.
Oh, she was a character, man. She was a character. And a big way too, she stole the show. Like even when Batman is on the scene, she stole the show. I couldn't wait to see what she's gonna be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, how's she gonna save Batman's butt now? You know what I mean? The women presence in this movie was strong. They had a really strong woman presence in this movie. Yeah.
That was so nice.
They made it very known, like I'm in your face with this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't to the point to where it was overbearing. It was like enough, you know.
It just felt real. Felt like real life.
Yeah, it felt way realistic. I enjoyed every part of that. Like the flow of the movie, like I said, the flow of the movie, the first one, I was
trying to wake up.
I was knocking off, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I had to get up a little bit, splash water on my face, sit up on my bed because I watched in the room. And then when the second one hit, man, I felt like I just got energized. Like, what the heck? I wasn't tired at all. I was like, "Damn, this is dope." I had me like this, like going like this. My wife came home. She started watching it, and she was like, "What's going on here? What's going on?" I said, "Just watch the movie. Just watch it." But it was very exciting to see how things was flowing through, and then the voice acting to me was phenomenal. I mean, I can't think of a character outside of one individual, but I can't think of a character that really didn't express themselves. Like they didn't show like this is who they are as a character. Loved Alfred, loved Falcone, whatever his name is.
Falcone.
Yeah, like perfect. Family members, how like just they did really good choices on the voice actors in this film. Through and through, I just enjoyed it. I mean, I'm quite sure there's a lot more things that I liked about it, but those are the biggest things that I can remember. Was especially that scene, and then all the voice acting and the writing, especially make it make sense. It followed easily. You can easily follow from start to finish the film. So I liked it.
I hate that it's Falcone instead of Falcone. I always read it Falcone. It's like Raish and Roz again. Like you read it one way. But like it makes sense. I mean, so the two mobsters are Falcone and Marone.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how you'd say it.
But I mean, how about Al Capone though? Al Capone, Falcone.
I'm sure it's Capone, but he's in America. He probably is like nah.
Maybe. Okay, if that's true, then all right, fine.
I mean, like, yeah.
Well, it probably the first time his name was probably said was in Batman Begins, and I'm sure Chris Nolan did his research.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're not saying this wrong, right?
I just always read in my head.
No, I heard Nolan got like all that stuff completely wrong.
Well, he called him Roz instead of Raish, and the Denny O'Neil who created Ra's al Ghul or Raish al Ghul said it's Raish. That's why the cartoon went with Raish.
Really?
Oh, interesting. Maybe Ra's al Ghul sounds much more.
That man would know.
Mysterious and
he's the encyclopedia of Batman. I swear.
I just call him Al.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing it was like Raja kind of
you
a
can
thing.
Call me Al.
Raja, hey, that's my nickname. You can't call him Raja.
Like the way that's pronounced, but.
Anyways, but that's my likes. If I'm thinking something else, I'll throw it in there.
Okay. All right, Mr. Izzy.
Okay, so I love the soundtrack. Obsessed. I've been listening to a lot of like dark synth wave kind of stuff in the last like year, so it was cool to hear a soundtrack go super hard on that and completely depart from what you're used to hearing in any Batman anything. It is so different from any Batman anything I've ever heard, and it was completely awesome. It was such a bold move, and it paid off in spades, I think. It set the tone for what was going to be a serious affair, right? Yep. And it stayed that way. The other thing I loved about it is it felt like it was shot like a Hitchcock film to me, the whole thing. Every shot. Like there's like, when you remember when he shoves that thug down and throws him off the balcony, right after he mouths off to Falcone, the bodyguard just like boom grabs him and throws him off the stairs in the first one. That shot, boom, and you see all the stairs going down, but it's cocked at an angle, and he's just laying there all weird. Boom, there's that one. Then there's the conversation between the dude and his dad, the mobsters, in part 2, and they're under the lattice work, and you see all the shadows on them of the plants and stuff, the rose garden, and like they're in a vineyard. They're talking in a vineyard. The whole time I'm just thinking that is such a Hitchcockian shot to just like make the shadows be a character in that shot. There's a bunch of shots like that. I could go on and on, but I was just like this. I feel like I'm watching Hitchcock in color right now. And the soundtrack is so modern. It sounds like Blade Runner 2049, like just super evil. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Like this is quite the experience. Voice acting was good. Raheem took one of my comments too. Like, I loved how many women were in it and how different they all looked. Like, they were all represented completely across the board in a way. They all had different personalities. It just didn't seem homogenized. And the same goes for the men. Like, almost none of the male characters looked like a nobody that just blended in. They all had totally different features. I thought the art design was really high. They seems like they put a lot of effort into making everyone look distinct and realistic, right? There weren't that many super attractive people in it, like, which I thought, wow, that's great, because comics, everyone's hot. Unless they're super ugly bad guys, right?
That's true.
You know, but I thought that was cool. Like, let's see what else. There was something else that was like I love the ending where Selena's in the mansion with him in a robe. That was so feel good. I love that, and they don't even bother to apologize for it. They're just hanging out and they like each other right now, and you're just like, okay, cool, I'll take it. Like, because I always wanted Batman to just shut up and marry her. Like, just stop. Like, stop being too cool for it. Stop not being with her on a stupid technicality. Yeah, but you jump off rooftops against the law, and I kind of do it within the law, kind of. So, and that's like the whole reason we can never be together. Like, Selena, it's like so stupid. It is so corny. That is like that big of a deal. Like, but they beat that to death in the comics, and I hate it. So I love that she was just there. She was totally there. And the trick-or-treaters and stuff, they actually came. That was cute. I love the scene when he's saying to dying Falcone, all you get is what all you take. He repeats the thing he said as a kid. And Falcone's like, do you still believe it? Which acknowledges that Falcone always kind of knew it was him. He knew it was Bruce. He knew it was that kid, which is like wacko to me. That I was just like, man, they gave you so much information in that moment right then that I didn't know. I didn't know if Falcone had figured out that Bruce was Batman. But he knew it right then. It was just him saying it back. And he's like, he doesn't even be like, what, you're him? He doesn't have a moment like that. He's like, you still believe that? You're like, oh, man, that was good. That was really good. I kind of like that Harvey started to have two personalities before the acid hit him, because that shows that the acid triggered the finalization of that process.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being one instance of trauma forever splitting him, which is a little hard to buy. Like, so that was kind of neat that he was already struggling with split personality from stress and stuff, you know, from his job and everything. Like, that was interesting. I don't know. I feel like pretty good. Like, I feel like the second one was kind of like twice the movie the first one was. I don't think the first one was bad. It had a lot of good stuff, but was her name Sophia? The big bad daughter?
Yeah.
Man, I loved her. Man,
Yeah,
I loved her.
I did too.
I did, yeah.
Goodness, and her voice actress was so on point. Like, just everything about her felt so authentic and genuine. Just her, like,
I think she was authentic, because like even when she was singing "Happy Birthday" in Italian.
In Italian, dude, everything. They put so much effort into that character, and I was just like, wow, man. Like, I've never seen her in my life, and I love her. Like, so cool. Just her kicking the door down with two guns, like, you just bought it already. Like, yeah, that's her. Yeah, totally. You're not like, where'd that come from? You know, they built her up to be the actual successor. And I love that conversation too, where he's like, if I look like I'm setting up a successor, they're going to think I'm weak. And she's sad, but acknowledges it. But you're kind of like, as a viewer, I was like, wow, she should be your successor, though. The way she treats you and the way you treat her, like, is so affectionate and father-daughter, but there's a ton of power there. Like, I just wish I could have seen that go a little bit further. That does go into one of my dislikes, but whatever. It's really minor. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. But like, the female presence in this movie is like, it set a bar to me of like how it should be in anything,
exactly.
Like any movie, not just like a comic movie. I just love that there was like a bunch of different ones, and they all felt completely real. It didn't feel like pandering. Right? It didn't feel like pandering or like filling a gap because of like representation or something. It
didn't feel like it was pandering at all. That's the
cool.
part right there.
So cool. Loved it.
I got two comments.
Yeah.
What you said. If you like Sophia, you probably should read Dark Victory, because she actually survived the fall.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
That's the sequel.
That was such a dislike for me. Okay. Yeah.
Of
course you did. She's a brick house, dude.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I hope that car's
ran into the car, so.
And actually, I think one of the reasons I like Two-Face so much is because one of the first comics I ever bought was an annual that covered his origin. And it actually went into his history of having an abusive father that gave him the coin. And that's where he developed the dual personality. So it's been like dormant in him for a long time. And they don't cover that. The Batman animated series talks about Big Bad Harv all the time. And
but yeah,
it wasn't. I don't remember if the Dark Knight really showed his dark side before he had that incident.
Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah.
No way. He was kind of hardcore.
Yeah.
Dang, I would like to see that. Like
You're gonna try
Harvey's like dad and stuff, like influencing him that way. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's an old annual from like '89, but I loved it.
I'll read Dark Victory too for sure. Is you said what you said it was called?
Yep.
I'm voracious for more Sophia, dude. That's one of my favorite Batman characters. Like just out of nowhere, she came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, why aren't you in every Batman thing? Like, you're so good.
Yeah, I liked her a lot.
The coin idea too, from it being given to Bruce from Falcone and then to Harvey Dent, that was all new in this movie, and that wasn't in the comic either.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I was okay with that. That wasn't a like or dislike. Just like, okay.
Yeah.
I do like, I was a little thrown off by the fact that Batman would put something up to chance until you realize it's a two-headed coin. So he was, and he's the one that called heads to burn money. So it's like, oh yeah, that's Batman.
Yeah, totally.
All right, likes. Yes, I love the voice acting. The voice acting was really good. I must have a different idea of who Jensen is. It Jensen Ackles?
Yeah,
Ackles, who is in my head, because I don't know. I was like, for some reason, when him playing Batman, like his voice threw me off. I was like, I didn't think he sounded anything like that. But I thought he did a good job. Yeah, dude, I loved what's her name, the daughter. Man, she was so good. I don't know what it is about her, but like her presence on screen was just really good. I don't know what it was.
They showed restraint. They made her this big giant woman that was like the mobster's daughter, and they didn't overdo it. That's all you got to do to make a character believable. You just show a little restraint, and man, she just acted normal. Like, and I was like, yes, it made it just so believable. Like, loved it.
Yeah.
And she had a soft side, which I love too.
So sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Kissing her on the forehead and stuff when she showed up with with the tie and everything. It's so good. Like,
and she could harmonize "Happy Birthday" instead of everybody being off key like they always.
She did. She totally got all funny. Yeah. I saw that. That was funny.
I liked. I didn't like all the villains, but I liked some of the villains, the way they portrayed them. I thought they did some of them like really accurate. I thought they did most of the movie. It's from what I remember of the comic, I felt like they did most of it really accurate. Like the way it looked. Like the way it looked accurate. Like they took the comic and put it like on the screen. I thought. So I'm trying to write.
They made sure to give Joker like 100 teeth, like Tim Sale draws him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they just looked like a skinny freak in a purple suit. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And his little like 1920s like Houdini haircut that he had going on, like
so
cool.
Even his characteristics when that fight scene and Batman had punched him and he went over by the phone and the knife, he looked at the knife and he I said that is so Joker right there. That's Joker right there.
Telling jokes only for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Laughing at him. So good.
I really loved the way Two-Face became Two-Face. Like when they threw the acid on his face in the courtroom. I don't know, something about that, because Harvey's always kind of like the courtroom is like his playground. Like he kind of owns that area, you know. And to see him get like that in front of everyone, and everyone is just like watching him like all shocked. I don't know, something about it, just like that. Like that scene was so good to me. And I loved Catwoman in this. I loved Catwoman. She was so good. She was so good. The way they portrayed her fighting, like her acting. I don't know, something about her in this one. She was more like, I feel like she was more, I don't even know the word for it. I want to say like empathetic than any other Catwoman. Like I feel like Catwoman is usually like just like an ice cold heart, and she doesn't really care. Like she only looks out for herself, but she seemed way more empathetic in this one, and I liked it a lot.
And vulnerable, but not in like a negative,
helpless way.
Yeah, vulnerable. Yeah. That's
she just cares about Bruce, man. Like the whole time I was like, this is Robin. She's Robin. Like she's like, and he kept being like, I don't need a sidekick, and I'm like, you do though. Look at how much ass you're whipping whenever she's there, dude. Like.
That was my third point, by the way, Izzy. In the comics now, Batman and Catwoman are together. They finally made that official.
Wow, that's two pieces of info you told me that made me so happy. Sophia lived and they're together.
I just feel like she's always like looking for an opportunity to like backstab Batman. any chance she can get. Like, and in this one, like she wasn't really doing that a whole lot. Like she seemed like she actually cared about him.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see. But I think that's it for my likes.
I forgot to mention that I loved the Scarecrow, like, and Ivy, like obsessed.
Oh,
like those were like
Scarecrow scene. Yeah, Scarecrow was dope. I like Scarecrow a lot.
His voice was all psycho and just no matter what, like, and his horse, just all of it. I was just like,
when he was in the woods with his horse and it was all red and like the trees were coming in.
All of it.
That whole scene was dope. That whole scene was really dope.
And Ivy was perfect. Ivy was just like chef's kiss, perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and she was so scary. The way that the first act of the second movie is just Bruce in major trouble because of her.
Yeah.
She's so much more powerful than I think a lot of stuff gives her credit for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's super OP. All right, should we do it?
Dislikes, here we go.
Oh, here we go. All right, Jarrett, kick us off.
So the one difference that they threw in that I didn't understand why they threw in was when Batman was saying he didn't know he'd have to be a detective.
Glad you said that.
I mean, it's like that's part of Batman's thing is he trained with the best detectives and best fighters in the world.
Is this like his early career? That's kind
of like year 2.
Oh,
okay.
This is kind of a spiritual successor to year 1.
Okay. I was not clear on that. Okay, that's cool.
So it's like when the mobsters go down and the freaks take over. Like that's what these two stories are about. So I thought that was I didn't totally hate it, but I was like, why even put that in there? That's kind of weird. Maybe because if people are figuring out who it is before he is, then we're like, wait, he's the world's greatest detective, and he didn't know.
Not yet. He's just some rich dude in a suit.
Yep. So I keep going back to the animated series. The fight scenes were great in this animation style, but when there was talking heads, and there were a lot of talking heads, it looked like a motion comic to me. Like they went like Archer style. Mm-hmm. You can see when somebody was a still frame, and then their head would just move and their mouth would move, and you could tell all they're animating the head. It's an old school 80s cartoon trick to save money. And it's just like, it's so rough. We've been watching.
Reminded me of Venture Brothers, kind of that style.
When you can do this, it's like once you see that, how beautiful like a afternoon cartoon series could be. Why can't they put it in a movie and just make it, top-notch animation through the whole thing?
Right.
And I think it's been stuck because they just kind of rebooted the DC universe in the animated movies because they finished everything up with the Apocalypse War one. And then the last Superman one kind of rebooted, like they do in the comics. They rebooted every 5 or 6 years.
Right.
So I think one of the reasons they went with Jason Ackles is because instead of Kevin Conroy, it's because they needed like a Batman that's going to be a Batman for a while, and Kevin might be out. And the animation style, they've been doing these movies for a long time. I'm surprised they're still getting money for them. So they probably just had to cut corners, and they try to make it a stylistic choice. I just, I want it to look like Batman, the animated series. But the fighting scenes were better than anything in Batman animated series. So, that style of animation is definitely improved. And yeah, so I wish it was Mark Hamill, and
that guy did a good impression though. I had to look it up.
He's the guy that they got to cover in the Arkham games when Hamill stopped.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of he kind of mimicked his voice on purpose. Troy Baker, I think is his name. He's a pretty well-known voice actor.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah, it was good. Anyways, that's pretty much all I could pull out for dislikes, honestly.
Okay. All right, Raw.
Hate to say it, man. I dislike Batman.
Oh, weird.
I dislike Batman all the way through. Disappointing. I'm gonna tell you why. I like the Bruce Wayne. Like he played an excellent Bruce Wayne, but when it comes to
Batman, want a drink at 8:30 in the morning, that was so great.
Yeah.
Make some mean Mai Tai. I was like, man, Mai Tai would be good in the morning. That would be the one drink. Like
he was such a rich boy, and he played that really, really well. I did not like the voice. But the part I didn't like is how they wrote him in this show, in these two films. He got his ass beat a lot, like a lot, but like stuff that is like, dude, you're like a stealth ninja person. How are you gonna let somebody sneak it behind you?
Year 2. I mean, that's the answer I would give you. Like,
and
he's
Raheem,
not good yet.
And you're being hypocritical because I've heard you say so many times that Batman is way too OP, and there's no way that he could beat everybody on Earth.
No.
Which is it?
No.
That's funny.
He's OP when it comes to beating Superman. Come on now, he can't beat Superman. If you're getting beat up like this, there's no way in hell you're beating up Superman.
Bloodsport almost did it.
I'm sorry.
Well, all you need is a green rock to beat Superman. I mean.
Oh, okay. But anyway, apparently all you need is just a regular rock to beat Batman, because that's what happened. He got beat with a regular rock. It's like being super careless. And it's like, to me, that's not who Batman is. Like, he's a paranoid guy who's always on guard. Always on guard. And this one, he was just careless. Through and through. Yeah. Careless. And not only falling for something once, but more than once. When it comes to the Scarecrow, okay, the Scarecrow got the upper hand, right, and stabbed him with the little thing. He got, whatever. And then a second time, he's around, he follows Scarecrow, and Scarecrow eludes him. Again, you know that he has this smoke stuff. You know that. After you done knocked him down, you're going to stand back and wait for him to get up and gather himself. So anyway, it was just a few scenes in here that really irritated the hell out of me. It's like, nope, I can't do this with him. I can't do this with him. Fight scenes were dope though, but it was just like the detective / I'm getting beat up, even though I am way superior than everybody when it comes to my fighting skills. It just wasn't believable at all. So Batman was my negative in this film, which is weird and sad.
That is weird and sad.
Yeah, right, that's it. That was my only dislike.
Okay. I really only had two. One, I hated how when they're fighting in Falcone's office, after the gangster, after all the bad guys, Solomon Grundy storms in and just is bulletproof, just destroys everything, and then they all march their way up the stairs after they take out Sophia, and they're in that office, right? And this is a really good fight. I don't hate this fight. This fight's amazing. It's really well done, and Ivy really shines here. But what I hated was Batman stuffed Scarecrow's glove into Solomon Grundy's mouth to take him out, and I was like, that's dope. And then you see the room fill with gas, and nobody gets affected, including Penguin, Mad Hat. No one's affected. Ivy, and I'm like, the room is, the whole screen is green right now, and Catwoman wasn't affected, and I was like, that's weird. That's weird, but okay. So I let it slide. It didn't it's not. I'm not docking the movie for it, points wise, but I was definitely like, what the heck, the whole room's full, but okay. And the other thing I hated was that Batman didn't even try to help Catwoman save Sophia. He just sat there and held the cloth on Falcone's neck when he's shot twice through the jugulars, dude. He's done. There's no, I got you. There's no version of your dad was a doctor, dude, Bruce. There's no that's not, you're not saving Falcone, but you could have saved Sophia potentially, right? So I didn't know she survived, but no attempt was made. That was Catwoman all alone, and she failed, right? If she wasn't strong enough. And I was like, where was Batman? I assumed, especially when she let her go, I was like, well, that's where Batman flies down with the zip cord.
Exactly.
Saves her, right? Yeah. Does the weird exertion thing and saves her. And I was like, but none of it happened. She just hits the car, thud. And then they clip to Batman holding Falcone almost dead. He's just sitting there, and I'm like, what? No. I feel like he would have been she's definitely gonna survive. You're probably not. If I go help her, I feel like he would have been. It would have been cool to see him forced to make that decision, but I guess Sophia survived.
And the fact that he knew that was her sister, basically, right?
She says Sophia. She says her name in a sisterly way too. This again goes into the voice acting. I felt like that was her talking to her sister, just from her saying her name, and I was like, man, this is so well done in some of these spots. So that's it. Those are my only two dislikes, man.
Okay.
Dave's got some.
I don't have a lot. My biggest one is, man, I really hated the animation style. This the way it was.
You don't like Venture Brothers?
Oh, dude, I couldn't stand it. Like it's part of the reason I haven't watched none of the new like DC animated movies because I hate this like Archie style like thick line, like around the character and stuff like that. Like it looks so like I don't know. It looks so like I don't want to say cartoony because it is a cartoon, but it looks really cartoony. Like it makes it look like the material and the script is like really mature, but the animation style looks like it was made for like a 6-year-old. Like it's really
Good luck,
weird.
Joe.
I can't stand it. It annoyed me like throughout the whole thing. I was just like, oh my god.
It's artsy.
Yeah, I guess. The other thing I couldn't stand, is like the stuff with Batman. But I guess I don't know. I guess that gets all chalked up to that. I didn't know this was his second year because the whole movie I was like,
feels like
this
an
guy
amateur.
sucks as Batman.
He feels like an amateur. Yeah.
Like you literally it took what, a year that all this stuff happened. That like all the holidays and all the deaths and everything that happened. Like you let all these people die, and then at the very end. You catch the woman like burning all her evidence away.
Let her go.
Like, and you just let her go. Like you were like literally the worst detective in the world. Like you're supposed to be the best detective. And it took you over a year and how many deaths to like fix this? This is like your worst job like you've ever done.
You know what? I had a problem with that too, Dave. Like, hear me out for a sec. I don't want to step all over your dislikes right now, but like I had that same problem when I watched that. But then the last thing he says on the stairs, and he said this a few times, was Harvey's my friend. Batman doesn't have any friends. Alfred, he has one. He has one friend, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think he would think of Robin as his friend, really. I feel like he'd be hard-pressed to say that.
I feel like
Harvey was his friend. And I'm like, and he acknowledged that Harvey was like, I did it all, take me in. And he did that to protect Glenda, right?
Right.
He was like, and I think Batman did all that work in his head and was like, I can keep an eye on her. And if she does anything else, it's done. Like, you know what I mean? But I guess also there's a Batman that wouldn't even risk that.
Right.
But I
he
feel like
didn't realize that
way later.
End, right?
Yeah.
He didn't realize that. Like, he didn't know any of this until the very end, though, right?
No,
like,
as he's going up the stairs after he talked to her, he was like, look, dude, Harvey was my friend. And in my mind, when he said that, that was him being like, I'm going to do him this favor. I'm going to let him protect you.
Yeah,
by turning himself in this moment, like that's how it felt to me.
But I mean, like while all the murders were happening on the holidays, like he had no idea what was going on.
No, he was completely lost.
Yeah, like that's the part that, and yeah, the whole detective thing. Like, what did he say about a detective, Jared? What was the?
I didn't know I was gonna have to be a detective or something.
Like, yeah, Jesus, like how else do you solve murders, dude? Besides being a detective, like what did you think was gonna happen when you put on a Batman suit and got to solve crime?
Or drive a Batman.
Yeah, who else does that?
Like I wish Alfred just smacked him upside the head. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Or drive a non-bulletproof Batmobile.
Right.
Oh yeah, he says that. The glass. We're gonna have to get some bulletproof glass, dude. Like he totally says that. That's right.
It's like,
I guess it's like year two, man. I didn't quite know that either. So there was stuff like that took me by surprise quite a bit. But
if it's, I mean, I guess if it's year two Batman, like, yeah, he's gonna make mistakes. I don't know. I guess I hope in the next movie that they make, like, he learns from a lot, because he made a lot of mistakes in this one. So I hope he learns from it and does it. But man, it was just like, it was weird to watch. But if he is year two Batman, that kind of makes sense that he's doing it, because he did a lot of like immature, like when he was on the cruise ship and he saw the Falcone son get shot, and he like the person was up top just chilling for like 2 minutes.
What's up, Dark Man?
He did nothing. Like he got shot and he was just like, he sat there for like a minute. I'm like, dude, throw a freaking batarang at the guy or something and like take him out. And he just sat there and he went to go protect Catwoman, just let the dude get lit up. I'm like, oh my god.
And then off on a Zodiac. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that was explained in the scene with Catwoman at the very beginning when she told him that his belt was weighing him down, and that's why he could keep up with her. Like that was kind of another lesson that he was learning that was new to him.
Yeah,
like that's why he protected Catwoman on the ship.
No, that's just that just hands more to the fact that he was new.
Oh yeah, okay.
just learning the ropes,
Right.
changing stuff as he went on.
That scene was so awkward to me because I was like, why is he
Do
not
something.
like with the flick of the wrist, like
You're Batman.
take this guy out? Like he literally let that guy got shot like 6 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
and chopped up.
Yeah, just fell off the boat and got chopped up. Like Jesus Christ.
I feel like a lot of these things you guys are bringing up, I didn't feel like Batman was getting his ass kicked as much when I read the book as that when I saw the movie. Did you, Raheem? Like, did you get that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was completely different from that standpoint.
Was it year 2 in the book?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like
I don't think he was
beat up a lot.
He wasn't down for 3 months with Poison Ivy either.
No,
That's so cool. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That he was taking out action for that long, and first he has to ask like what about the killer? Like he starts like trying to get caught up like in real time, and it's just like, dude, that was crazy to watch that. Loved that.
Yeah, that scene was really cool.
Was it a man?
Like, how did he stay alive? How did Batman stay alive?
What do you mean? When he was
How
under
did
for
he
3
stay
months?
alive, man? This is so many
I
times
think
he's been killed by these murderers, and it's just like how do you survive?
Yeah.
Tony, you're right.
Scarecrow yeah, dude, Mad Hatter hits him over the head with a teapot and knocks him out.
Yeah.
Pow, done.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
And then they bind him and then take him away.
Wait, though, did he mean to get caught then?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I didn't feel like he
Because he
did.
didn't learn anything from the graveyard.
As soon as
He
he
learned
needed
zero
to
from
be,
being at the graveyard.
as soon as he needed to be like unbound, he was, and he took him off guard. Like I could have just followed him. For some reason, that was in my head. Maybe I just told myself that. Oh, he wanted to get
He
caught.
got his ass beat. That was awesome. That was great. I
So,
do love that he
Tony,
fought
you're
Mad
bringing
Hatter.
up, was it a woman? And that is true. When they did show the close-ups of him in the fedora of Holiday in the fedora, it totally looked like a man's face from the side up.
100%.
It did not look like
100%.
Gilda. So, I mean, but it was.
Yeah.
Why they drew? Maybe she put on makeup to look like a dude. I don't know. That was weird too.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, those are my dislikes. So.
Here we go.
All right, Jared, let's get into those ratings.
I wanted it to be my favorite animated movie of all the DC movies because it's my favorite comic, but I still put Mask of the Phantasm and
Oh yeah,
Under the Red Hood both I like better than this one.
That's the Phantasm from a different planet. It's from Neptune. It doesn't make any sense how good that is.
But it wasn't. But that it's still up there. It was still great in a lot of them. I think it's an 8.
okay.
Yeah, it did. Like what Izzy always says, how well did it do what it was trying to do? And it was trying to adapt this classic comic, and it nailed it. And it changed. Its changes were for the better, I think. So, I mean, can't go much lower than that.
Okay. Got a 6. Or no, sorry, 8. Raheem.
I also give it an 8.
Okay.
It was really spot on writing. You can follow the movie. You know, it has this. You know, no movie's gonna be perfect. You know, you're gonna have negative stuff, but the negative stuff didn't take away from the film. If that would have portrayed Batman better, I believe even in year 2, I think it would have been a 10 for me. But this is an 8 based off of the writing, and I actually like the artwork of the cartoon, the cartoony look. I kind of liked it. I thought it was artsy the way they was going about it, and given the times, the mobster times type of stuff, it kind of reminded me of crap. What was that one mobster show that came out back in the days, and McDonald's was like
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy. It kind of reminded me of that with the deep lines in the faces and the very distinctive looks. Kind of reminded me of that. I thought the artwork was good to me. That scene I keep bringing up with Catwoman and Batman kissing, and then you see that little bomb go off and just everything about that. And there was another thing that popped in my mind. The courtroom scene where Harvey, you can see a change happening in him. With they showed it in his eyes when he made the switch.
Oh yeah.
That to me, thank you, sweetheart. That to me was pretty dope. Yeah, so that's why I gave it an 8. I would actually watch it again.
Okay. So. All right, Izzy.
8. Loved it.
Awesome.
Loved it. I want to hear more soundtracks like that in cartoons. That soundtrack went so hard, I couldn't believe it. Like, so many scenes where it would pop in and it would be doing that thing still. They didn't compromise on it. I loved it. 8, definitely.
It definitely set the tone doing that right from the very beginning.
Yeah, so sinister and slimy and scary feeling. Solomon Grundy being in it was really weird and cool too, though. I don't know. Yeah, 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it I'm debating between a 7 or 8.
Come on, join the drink the Kool-Aid, dude.
I'll probably give it an 8. I mean, I didn't like the animation style, but it did do well what it was trying to do. Like for a Batman in year 2, and like, you know, as best as they could, is putting the comic to the on screen. I thought they did a good job, and I did like the ending better in this than in the comic. So
yeah,
I'll give them that.
It's proper motive.
It was totally believable.
Change the animation style. Please change it. That's only I'm asking for. Just change the animation. Go back to like under the red hood, like all that stuff, like the Flash movies they did, the Aquaman movies they did. Like if they go back to that, then, I mean that movie could have been a 10. Rather than that, it was good. I thought everything on it was good.
Nice, man. Read Dark Victory, people, if you liked it. It's Origin of Robin too, but it's not done in a corny way. It's great. What happens to the Falcones?
Yeah, we did.
We got done early.
We didn't fight about anything.
No,
Phil hated it.
Oh.
8's around. That's a first.
Yeah.
That's pretty
8
cool.
all around. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
I think the King animation. We did that for the King. I think nobody gave it a 7.
Okay.
Nice.
Pretty sure.
Thank you guys for watching, tuning in.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it. We will see you guys next week, all right?
What is up, Four Takers? Jared here. I just want to give you a way that you can access our content without giving you a bunch of Twitter account addresses and Facebook account addresses and all that. It is one very important link that you need to remember to see all of that Four Takes has to offer. If you want to listen to our podcasts by itself, if you want to watch us while you listen, if you want to check out all 3 of our very distinct different types of videos that we have under our playlists on YouTube, that's there. If you want to join in on the conversation live via David's Twitch, Monday nights, 8 o'clock Pacific time, that link will be there. If you want to pick the next movie that we do, we're going to do a viewer's pick monthly. That would be through our Facebook or our Twitter accounts. That will be there. If you want to monetarily contribute to us, that will be there. If you want to just check us out and see what we're doing in our everyday life and watch Izzy and David play video games, chat with them personally. If you want to watch me sing dorky Mandalorian parody videos and hang out with my granddaughter and do all sorts of goofy skits, that will be there. Everything is there, and it's under one address that you need to remember. It is linktree/4 takes. Now, the important thing is that there is a dot between the tr.ee. It is linktree.ee/ no, that's confusing. linktr.ee/4 takes. Enjoy the show and check that out.